Hello, grade 10s. It's me again, Hector S. Nkosi. Welcome to our mathematics class. Those who have just joined us today, I would like to welcome you guys to our awesome class. We are welcoming you. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them here on the chat box, or you can email me at nkosihector28 nkosihector28@gmail.com. All right. Okay, guys, I just want to take you through for my personal details. These are my personal details. We're still looking at functions, part 2 of functions though, which is paper 1. Today we'll be looking at the Gauteng June exam, question 4 till question 6. Then tomorrow we'll be looking at a consolidated question. So before we start trigonometry next week, tomorrow we'll be looking at all the things that we have covered so far. So all those questions bit by bit, right? And also, before we start with this today's work, I would like us to finish what we did not do yesterday from November 2017. Uh, we were only left with one question there. I would like us to finish that question, then move to Gauteng June exam, question 4 till 6. All right, just a recap also, since we're still under functions, these are your learning outcomes. This is a straight line graph, your parabola graph equation, your hyperbola graph, your exponential graph. So you must familiarize yourself with these equations. They're going to help you in future. You need to be able how to identify the graph, or you need to be able to identify the graph, or sometimes you need to be able to identify the equation. Since you know how to identify the equation, you also need to be able to identify the graph. Okay. So yesterday we were still busy with this, right? So this is what we were busy with yesterday, right? So we're supposed to do 6.2. So basically 6.2 says sketch below shows the graphs of f of x, of which is k over x plus w, and g of x is equals to negative x minus 1. So basically we know that g of x is equals to negative x minus 1. We know that this is a straight line graph, and which means it has the downward sloping, and yes, this g of x has the downward sloping. The graph G is the axis of symmetry of F. So the graph G is the axis of symmetry of F. The graph F and G intersected P and Q. So graph G intersected P and Q. That's why they meet basically, right? Okay, first question, it says to us, write down the value of W. So here we have to write down the value of W. So now the value of W, we know that it's where our graph, basically the value of W, it's this one where our f of x, it has its asymptote, basically. Basically, what are the asymptote, right? The asymptote of f, basically. So you need to be able to get the asymptote. The asymptote is where the f touches the y-axis, basically, right? So if we look here in our solution, just a second, we know that W, it will be, oops, sorry guys. Oh, sorry. Sorry guys, I don't know what's happening. These technology things. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'm back now. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. It was a few technical issues, but I'm sorted now. So basically, we know that W must be equals to -1 because we know that the g of x passes through -1 because g of x is given by negative x minus 1. Then when you look at 6.22, it says the point -2 is to 7 lies on F. So this is the point that lies on F. Calculate the value of K. So basically we must calculate the value of K. So they want this value of K. Remember, since your line of asymptote is -1, which means your W is -1, and now you must calculate the value of K, which means you must substitute this point -2 is to 7. So where there is X, you must put -2. Where there is Y, you must put 7. Then you can solve for K, basically. Then after you have solved for K, you will have the complete equation of, yeah, here they just said calculate the value of Q, of K, I mean to say. So basically, this is what you need to do at this point in time. We know that K is equals to -16 because f of x is equals to K over X. So we substitute X and Y by 7 and -2. Then you solve for K. K is equals to -16. Then now 6.23 says calculate the x coordinates of P and Q. So they want the x coordinates of P and Q. So we know that P and Q, it's where two graphs are intersecting. So which means you must equate f of x and g of x all together. So basically, how you're going to do that, your first step is to say f of x is equals to g of x. We know f of x is given by -16 over x minus 1. The hyperbola graph is equals to a straight line graph. It was given to us is equals to -x minus 1. Then you need to simplify this. So you have to multiply by x throughout. So when you multiply by x here, it will be -16 here. When you multiply by x, it will be -x. Here, it's going to be -x squared. Here, it's going to be -x. Then when you take the -x to this side and plus x, it's the x and x's cancel. Then you'll be left with x squared -16. And we know that x squared -16, it's the difference of two squares. So basically now what you need to do is to factorize. We know by now how to factorize a difference of two squares equation. You know that is x and x, square root of 16 is 4, so it's -4 plus 4. So x is equals to 4 and x is equals to -4. So you must identify which one is for Q and which one is for P. So now you need to go back to your graph. When you look at your Cartesian plane, you can see that since you got 4 and 4, we can see that P, it will be -4 because everything that is lying here before 0, it's negatives. Your integers, your number line. Everything that is lying here after 0, it's positive values. So Q will be 4, P will be -4. The last question on this question before we move to our main question for today says write down the values of x for which -16 over x is greater than -x. So basically we need to do this. It's more of an inequality equation. So what you need to do is to multiply it by x, basically. So when you multiply by x throughout, it's going to be x squared. So we are solving inequalities. And still, even here, we've got difference of two squares. because when we multiply by x throughout here it will be negative 16, here it will be negative x squared. When you take this negative x squared to the side, it will be positive x squared. So x squared minus 16 must be greater than 0. So we know that x is greater than 4 or minus 4, basically. That's your answer. This is how you need to write your answer, basically. Okay. Now, I want us to look at what we want to do today. So today, we are looking at the Gauteng 2013 June paper. So we're looking at question 4. I love this question, guys. I love this question. It's one of the nice and challenging questions, and it's straightforward, but I mean, I selected this because I needed more questions so that we can do them here in class. So it says, given the functions f of x is equals to 2x squared minus 8 and g of x is equals to ax plus b. So g of x is what? G of x is your straight line, f of x is your parabola. And we can see that our parabola has the happy face, which means now its y will be what? It will be negative 8. And can you see the point F? It's where G, the turning point, it's where G and F intersect, basically. So now here it says determine the coordinates of A. So what are the coordinates of A? So these are the coordinates of A. Remember the coordinates of A, these ones. Here's point A, but what are the coordinates of A? So basically what you need to do, you can take 8 to the other side, and it's going to be 8 is equals to 2x squared. Then divide by 2 both sides. You'll have 4 is equals to x squared. Therefore, square root. So it will be plus or minus 2. X is equals to plus or minus 2. Therefore, the coordinates of A, because A is after 0, which means we're having positive. So now we know that point A, it will be 2 is to 0. Let me just show you the solution. Okay. So these are the coordinates of A, basically, right? So we needed to say x squared is equals to 8, then x squared is equals to 4. Then when we divide by, when we put square root here, we'll have x is equals to plus or minus 2. Therefore, A is 2 is to 0. Now let's look at the next question. The next question says, we must determine the coordinates of point F. So point F, we know that this is where basically this is where your f of x and your g of x cuts the y-axis. So we know that where it cuts the y-axis, we see it by this, right? So we're going to have negative 8, basically. So basically you would know that, oh, okay, since it's negative 8 now, which means my coordinates for point F, it will be 0 is to negative 8. That's super easy. All right. And this is your answer. F is 0 is to negative 8. So I'm supposed to put negative 8 here. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the next one. 4.2. 4.2 says determine or derive the equation of g of x. So what is g of x? We know that g of x is a straight line. So basically remember, when you do a straight line equation, right? It's either you can have 2 points or 1 point and a gradient. So in this case, we've got point A and point F. You can calculate the equation of g of x. So now, when you calculate the equation of g of x, when you go to your solution here, so basically, you must calculate your gradient first, right? So your gradient, you know, that is y over changing x. So m is equals to 8 minus 0 over 0 plus 2. So your m is 4. And yes, because we've got the upward sloping, meaning now the gradient must be positive. Therefore, the equation will be y is equals to 4x minus 8. Now, when we look at the next question now, the next question says to you, now, okay, I'm still scrolling down, 4.3. It's a different graph. Sorry about that. It's a different graph. Okay. So basically, we are looking at this one. So it says the graph of f of x is equals to a to the power x plus q, and g of x is equals to mx plus c are drawn below. So this is your graph, and we know because it's a to the power of x, we know that this is what? This is the exponential graph. And we know that g of x, we know the equation of mx plus c. We know that that's what? That's your straight line equation. Now, 4.3.1 says determine the equation of the graph labeled f. So you must determine the equation of the exponential graph. So basically here in the exponential graph, you are given 2 points. You are given this point, of which is 0 is to 2. You are also given point C, of which is 2 is to 10. So you've got 2 points where you can calculate your f of x, right? So if I were to take you to the solution, just hang on. All right. Okay, cool. So now we know that we are going to, okay, we know that we're going to substitute y and x, right? So we chose this one. We chose the one coordinate, the one that said 0 is to 2. So where there's x, we put 0. Where there's y, we put 2. Therefore, we're going to have 2 is equals to 1 plus q, because we know that any variable to the power of 0, it's 1. Then now, what we need to do is take 1 to the other side. So 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 is equals to q. So you do have your q. Then you take the q now. You know the value of q, it's plus 1. Then you substitute with a new point. Now you take a new point, not an old point. Remember the new point, it's point C. It's this one of 2 is to 10. So basically what you need to do here is where there is y, you put 10, and where there is x, you put 2. So 10 is equals to a squared plus 1. So when you transpose 1 to the other side, it becomes 9, because 10 minus 1 is 9, and 9 is equals to ax squared. Therefore, what you need to do, you must square both sides. Therefore, a is equals to 3. Then, if you look at the next one now says to you guys, derive the equation of the asymptote of f. So what is the equation of the asymptote? And it's for 1 mark. So you should know how to calculate the equation of the asymptote. So the equation of the asymptote, we know that it's going to be y is equals to something. Asymptote, it's the dotted line. It's just that here it does not show, but it's the line that says your f of x cannot reach that level. So basically, when you go to your workings, y is equals to 1, because that's where your graph ends, basically. Right. Cool. Then now, boys and girls, I want us to look at this question now. We are done. These are nice and short questions. We are doing more of consolidations. I want us to look at this question 5. Sorry. So it says here 5.1, given pattern 1, given pattern 2, and pattern 3. We can see pattern 1, it's one triangle. Why I took these questions, guys, because we are doing like a consolidated questions. We have covered number patterns already, but I chose this question because it's nice and straightforward, you know, and it will help you guys to recap your stuff. Then pattern 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4. Pattern 3, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, right? So pattern 1 is 1, pattern 2 squared, pattern 3 is 16. So it's 1, 4, 16, right? Basically. Then it says how many small triangles will be in pattern 4? And how many triangles will be in pattern n? They want the nth term. How many small triangles will be in pattern 13? They want T13 once we've got nth term. Then in the equation S, okay, we'll do this one separately. Just want to take you through with this one. So basically here, what we need to do is, I can see Kamogelo says P4 is 20, pattern 4 is 20. Very good. Let's check. So basically we know that figure 4 or pattern 4 is 4 to the power of 3, right? It's 64. So your answer it will be 64 for pattern 4, right? Then your nth term will be 4 to the power of n minus 1. Because when you substitute T1 here, it's going to be 4. 1 minus 1 is what? Is 0. Then 4 to the power of 0, it's 1. So basically, your general term, it's going to be 4 to the power of n minus 1. Therefore, where they want T13, you're just going to substitute 13. You're going to say 4 to the power of 13 minus 1. Therefore, it's going to be 4 to the power of 12. And 4 to the power of 12, it's this number, basically. This was a different question, boys and girls. So no wonder I tried to do it with you guys, because I know the ones we were doing all along, they were easy and straightforward. Okay. Now, let's do the last question. The last question says to you, in the equation S, 1 over 2 gt squared, make t the subject of the formula. So in this, try to make t the subject of the formula. In other words, they are saying t must be equals to something. So make t the subject of the formula. So let's see. Very easy, guys. I'm going to show you step by step. So basically here, what you need to do, remember it was given as half. Then you must multiply by half throughout. Then you'll have 2s is equals to gt squared. Therefore, divide by g both sides, you'll be having 2s over g is equals to t squared. Then if you want the value of t, you must root both sides. Therefore, it's going to be 2s over g is equals to t. So basically, you have made t the subject of the formula. Can you see how easy it is? So boys and girls, that's it from my side. Please feel free to always email me if you've got any queries at Nkosi Hector 28. Nkosi Hector, let me just show you my sorry, just wanted to show you my email address. Please feel free to email me at nkosihector28@gmail.com should you have any other further queries. Tomorrow we are finishing with functions, but tomorrow we'll be looking at consolidated questions though. So we'll be looking at algebra because some of you are still struggling with factorization. So we're looking at that tomorrow for the last time. Then on Monday, we start with our trigonometry. Have a lovely afternoon, boys and girls. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.